I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it, move it.
Salama Douglassi Tienariku, Bakar America Rahu, I Peshkami Tuliada Zo, Rahu Evtamaru Pulo Tau, Fa Teku Manau Sport, Teku Manami Kuchina, Teku Miana Setini Gasi, Teku Miana Seti Babuli, Nahu Mereskami Ti Namuku Amietu Madagascar. Misocha. Okay guys, what I basically just said was, hello, my name is Doug. I am from America, but I live here in Tuliar. I'm 24 years old, and I like to play sports, I like to work out, I like to study Malagasy and study the Bible, and I also, I forgot what the last thing I said was, but I also like to hang out with my friends here in Madagascar. And so today, I'm going to help you guys learn Malagasy presentations, and this is our first language video here for all our church partners. And so us on the Southwest Madagascar team know that it is important for the people who are coming in to have just a little bit of language in order to kind of, get around, or at least, have initial conversations with people. And so as we go through this video, I want you to know that you can pause at any time you need to, because I'm going to give you some time to stop and to practice one another. And so if you need to pause, if you need to rewind, if you need to fast forward because you're just annoyed with all the talking I'm doing, it's okay. Just whatever you need to do, that's cool. I'm not going to make this thing like Dora the Explorer where I say, okay, now say this, and then I wait 10 seconds and you say it. But there are going to be some times when I say, I want you to repeat after me. And so in that time, although it's going to kind of be weird because there's a lot of distance between us, I still want you to repeat what I say. So if I say, repeat after me, Salama. Right now, you should all be saying Salama. Okay, because the best way to learn this language and the best way to kind of get a feel for what we're doing is by practicing over and over and over again. Okay, and now I'm not going to go overload on you. I'm going to give you a few lessons to kind of get you going and just to really give you some tips on how to present yourself in Malagasy, to tell your name, to say how old you are, to say what you like to do and where you're from, to say even what you're here to do. And eventually, as this continues and time goes on, we hope that you guys will even be able to maybe give a short gospel presentation. And so us on the Southwest Madagascar team really want our teams to come in prepared, kind of knowing what's going on, kind of knowing a little bit about the culture. But I think if we can kind of give you guys some language that you really have a grasp on, that means so much to the people here in Tuliar, and it will mean so much to the people also in the bush, that you care enough to speak their language and you care enough to communicate with them in their language. And yeah, you're not going to be fluent. I've been here for almost 2 years and I'm not nearly fluent, but we do want to give you just some simple basic sentences and things to say and greetings in order that you can just at least cross that barrier with the people here in the bush and in Tuliar. And so before we begin our first lesson, I just want to say a quick prayer for all of us as we begin to somewhat learn this crazy language that we call Malagasy. So if you would just bow your heads with me and pray just for a quick second. Lord God, I thank you for this opportunity to learn a different language. I thank you for the impact that it's going to have on the people, that my friends who are in this church right now, who are about to come here on the field, for the impact that it's going to have on the people here in the bush and the people here in Tuliar. When they hear white man, when they hear this Vazaha speaking their language, Lord, we know that it means a lot to them. And so I pray, Father, that you would just equip us right now to learn, to be a sponge, to soak it all up. Equip me, Lord, to teach them in a clear way that is very understanding to them. And it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen. Okay, so now our first lesson today, our first lesson overall, is Malagasy presentations. Okay, so basically what I want to teach you to do is how to introduce yourself in Malagasy. And now what I've done also is I've recorded some of my friends around town giving their presentation in Malagasy, because that's what they speak, obviously. And so as we go through, I'm going to teach you guys how to say some of these things. Then I'm going to also teach you some questions to go along with them so that you know how to ask people about themselves as well, like, what is your name? How old are you? Where are you from? Where do you live? We may even get into things like, how many kids do you have, or do you have a wife? Are you married? Things like that. Not sure. We'll see if we get that far into it. So yeah, that's where we're going to start today. We'll start out with the word Salama. Now the word Salama means hello here in Malagasy, or it just means well. I'm doing well, so you can just walk down the street and say people Salama, people will say Salama back to you. Okay, now when I go through this, I'm going to give you guys enough time to write the sentence or write the word, and then we're going to repeat it a couple times. And again, if you need to pause and stop and practice yourself, please do so. That's the point of these videos. You have the flexibility to do what you want. Okay, so the first word is Salama. And then here we have a blank where your name is going to go. So for example, my name is Doug, or Douglasi is what they've changed my name to here. So Salama, Douglasi Tianaraku. Okay, Anaraku is my name. So Salama, which means hello. Douglasi, we say the name first here. We say my name is, and then my name is, so yeah, my name is Doug. Okay? So Salama, Douglasi Tianaraku. And so I want you to practice now with a friend, and I want you to say Salama. I want you to say your name. If your name is John, say John Tianaraku. 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 Practice that over and over and over again right now. So Salama, Douglasi Tianaraku. Okay, now next is basically saying I am from. So the word for saying I am from, or the phrase for saying that, is Baka. So Baka America Rahu, because all of you are from America. If you're not, then you can change it. You can insert whatever country you want into the blank. So Baka America Rahu. Baka America Rahu. You say Baka with me. Repeat. Baka America Rahu. And Rahu is the word for I. It's the personal subject I in Malagasy. Actually, in Southern dialect, that's the word we use. You can either say Rahu, or you can say Zahu, or even Yahoo. But we usually don't say that one. We stick with Rahu or Zahu. So one more time. Baka America Rahu. Baka America Rahu. Now I want you to take a few minutes and practice that with a friend. Okay, the next thing we want to say is I am so and so years old. So for me, I'm 24 years old. Okay, now one of the difficult things in this is that I'm not going to have the time to go through and teach you guys all the numbers. And so what I want you to do is just fill in how old you are in this blank. And then whenever you get on the field and whenever you talk to Grant or Jody or whoever else you're hanging out with or talking to, I want you to just ask them, okay, now how would I say my age in Malagasy? So instead of me going through and teaching you 1 through 60 or 70 right now, I'm just going to kind of give you how to say years. So the word for years is tau. So basically all you would say is, for example, I would say, if it's amirupulu tau rahu. So I'm saying 24 years I is what it literally translates to, but basically it is I am 24 years old. So tau rahu. Tau, say tau, repeat after me. Tau rahu is I. So tau rahu. So we're going to move on to the next one because you guys can go back and study these two together. That's very simple. So the next one is teku, which means I like, or like, so basically someone will say like, what do you like to do? And you'll repeat, you'll say I like. So for example, I said I like to manau sport, which means to play sports, or manau mikuchino, which means to work out, or I like to study Malagasy, or I like to study the Bible. And so what I'm going to do right now is maybe just give you a few things that you can learn to say, because I'm not going to be able to go through and give you all the verbs. So here's a list of things you can say that most of you guys would probably like to do. So again, teku means I like to, and so for example, manau sport just means to play sports. Manau sport, manau sport. Mianate tibaibuli, mianate tibaibuli. Mianate ti Baibuli means to study the Bible. Mivavike. Mivavike. Mivavike means to pray, but in this culture, a lot of times it means to go to church. So people will ask you, where do you pray? And what you'll say is, I pray at the Baptist church. So when you say mivavike, not only are you saying you like to pray, but you're also saying that you like to go to church. Mihisa gitara. Mihisa gitara. Mihisa gitara means to play guitar. I know some of the people who come on our teams like to play guitars. That's one thing you can say. So mihisa gitara. Mitsanga miaraka amiti nam. Mitsanga miaraka amiti nam. Mitsanga miarake amiti nam. That's miarake, see, not miaraka, miarake. Mitsanga miarake amiti nam. What that means is, I like to hang out with my friends. Yes, that's a lot longer to do. So for you overachievers out there, this is the one you want to use. But it's also a good one to know because we all like to hang out with our friends. Mihina sakafu. Mihina sakafu. Mihina sakafu. This means to eat food. Mihina to eat. Sakafu is food. And then matore. Matore. Matore just means to sleep. So if you like to sleep, you can say teeku matore. So just remember, you go through these and pause it when you need to and write them down. Okay, so next I want to teach you guys how to say what it is that you're doing here. Because people are going to ask you all the time, what are you doing here? And even if you don't understand them, or if you're just presenting what you're doing here, you know, what yourself, you can just say, I'm here to do this. And so, in order to say that, we're going to say, Rahu, avietu, hitoriti filansansara. And what that means is that I have come here to preach the gospel. Okay, so Rahu, avietu, hitoriti filansansara. Rahu, avietu, hitoriti filansansara. Rahu, avietu, hitoriti filansansara. So I come here to preach, hitori, ti, the filansansara, gospel. Now another word for filansansara, another word for gospel is vovo mahafali, which means it's the news that makes happy. So the vovo mahafali, so the good news. So you can say Arahu avietu hitoriti filansansara, or you can say Arahu avietu hitoriti vovo mahafali. Okay, so now I want you to repeat after me. Arahu avietu hitoriti filansansara. And then Arahu avietu hitoriti vovo mahafali. So now take a few minutes to practice those together. And then at the very end, whenever you're done presenting, all you have to say is misocha. Misocha, and that just means thank you. So this is definitely a word you want to know anyways. Misocha. It's just a good word to know. Okay, so now I want you guys to go through all this together and practice with one another. Okay, if you need to go back and listen to part of the video, then feel free to do that. That's okay. That's the point of this, so you can go back and, like I said, rewind, fast forward, pause, doesn't matter. I want you guys to take your time and go through these things and study them in order that you may know how to present yourselves in Malagasy, to teach people, to tell people who you are. And at the very end, after this is, after we've gone through all this, and you practice, whenever you press play again, it's going to be some short clips of some of my friends here in Tuliar giving a presentation of themselves as well, all obviously in Malagasy. So it's going to just be good practice for your ears to hear them in their native language, in Southern dialect, in Malagasy, giving a presentation of who they are. And then at the very end of the lesson, we're going to go through really quickly and go through the questions that you can ask in order to produce these answers in other people. Go.
Salama. Ninaraku Johnson. 60 taon na aho. Mipetraky Toliara. Baka Antsirabe. Ty raha tiaiko mianatsy anglais, ty asako mampianatsy anglais. Misaotra, veloma.
Anarako zany dia Jason. Dia zaho mipetraka Ampasikimo. Dia avy any Antananarivo. And sorry. And raha tiako zany mihina, de matory, de mivava koa. De that's all.
Veloma.
Veloma.
Salama nareo. Janara konorina. Mpecha katubiara. Boaka afur de fe. Tau na e facha. Tau na full tau. Titia kumteza za. Veloma nareo.
Akory aby nareo. Salama zahay. Anarako Justin. Mipetraky Ambohitsabo baka Fianaratsoa. Zaho 20 tao. Zaho tia manao sport, misakafo, milalao, mihisa, mandro.
Veloma.
Veloma. Zaho tia mianatsy teny anglisy. Zaho mipetraka Toliara etoa. Veloma.
Okay, guys, I hope you had some success studying through these things. These are, again, just the way that you can introduce yourself to people that you do not yet know in the bush or even here in Tuliar. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the questions. These are the questions that you can ask other people in order to find out more about them, or these may be the questions that you hear other people ask you if they want to find out more about who you are, where you're from, or what you like to do. Okay, so like I said before, if you need to pause, pause. If you need to rewind, rewind. If you need to fast forward, fast forward. It doesn't matter. These lessons are all for you guys. It's all about you in this. So whatever you need to do, do it. I'm giving you some flexibility here. So if I'm going through these questions too fast, then just pause it and copy them down. And then go back and listen to it a few times over and over. I know I can tend to speak fast sometimes, and yeah, so if you need to slow it down, then you do that. You can slow it down. Okay, so now we're going to go through these questions. I'm going to teach you guys how to pronounce them, and I want to show you kind of how to write them, and then I'm going to give you the meaning of them as well. Okay, so the first question is Ia ti agnaranau. Ia ti agnaranau. Ia ti agnaranau. And that just means, what is your name? So ia ti agnaranau. Ia ti agnaranau. I want you to take a few minutes and just repeat that after me. Ia ti agnaranau. Ia ti agnaranau. So I know that's kind of a hard word to say. It sounds really strange, but the more you practice, the better you'll become at it. The second question is Baka ia Valria. Baka ia Valria. Baka ia Valria. Baka is the same word over here that just means like from, and then ia is the question word for where. And then val is just kind of the word that shows that it is a question. And then riha is you, is the personal subject for you. Okay, now on riha, you don't have to say riha. You can just say ia, because I know ia is easier to say than riha. So you can say baka ia val ia. Baka ia val ia. Okay, now I want you to take a few minutes. You can pause the video, and I want you to practice ia ti ignata now and baka ia varia. Bakaia, Valria. Go ahead and practice those. Okay, so the third question we want to ask is Mi pechke aia Valria. Mi pechke aia Valria. Mi pechke aia Valria. And now this question means, where do you live? Okay, now up here, I forgot to explain, I talked about where we're from, but I didn't talk about where do you live. And obviously, you live and you are from the same place because you guys live in America and you're from America. But if you're talking to people in country, they're going to ask you questions like, where do you live? And so when someone asks you, mi pečke aia varia, then you can say, mi pečke ami Amerika rahu. Mi pečke ami Amerika rahu. Mi pečke ami Amerika rahu. So go back and you can insert this either before baka or after the baka statement about where you're from. Because people are going to ask you, where do you live? And you can ask them where they live. And you're going to get different answers because some live, some are from different places, but they're actually going to tell you what area in Tuliar they're from if you're speaking to people in Tuliar. Okay, so mi pečke aia variha, and that just means, where do you live? The next question we want to study is firitau variha. Firitau variha. Firitau variha. Okay, so now repeat after me. Firitau variha. Firitau variha. Okay, now one thing I want to point out, in Malagasy, the I makes an E sound. So it's not fire, although it looks like fire, it's not fire, it's firi. The same thing up here. It's not aya, it's ia. Okay, so you'll notice that the I makes more of an E sound. Okay, so now I want you to go back, and I want you guys to repeat with a partner, mi pečke aia valriha and firitau valriha, which this means, how old are you? Literally it means how many years are you, but it means how old are you for our purposes. So now take a few moments and study those together. Okay, so the last question that we're going to study is the question that means, what do you like to do? So, inu ti raha te anau. Inu ti raha te anau. Inu ti raha te anau. Okay, so now the word inu is what, and then raha is thing. So you're basically asking, what is the thing you like to do? Because tea means to like, and then now is the subject that goes with that. So inu ti raha te anau. Inu ti raha te anau. So repeat after me. Inu ti raha te anau. Inu ti raha te anau. Okay, now I know at first it's going to sound really weird saying all these questions and going through them, but the more you practice, the more you listen, the more you hear, the more comfortable you will become. Okay, so now we're going to do a quick review over all that we've learned today, and then I'm going to kind of let you guys watch a few clips of my friends asking these questions and also giving answers. Okay, so now when you hear the videos and you hear the way they speak and stuff, some of it's going to sound different than what we've went over. These are not the only way to say these things, and some people say them differently than others, but obviously we don't have the time to go through and study all the different ways people say things, so I'm giving you the way that that we usually say these things and the questions that we usually ask. But sometimes you'll hear them differently, but if you kind of get the gist of it, you'll at least know what they're asking you. And so right now what I want to do is just kind of go through, actually first we'll go through the questions, and then we'll go through the statements that go along with those questions. Okay, so the first question is Ia ti ignaranau, and that means, what is your name? Ia ti ignaranau. The second question is Bakaia variha. Bakaia variha, and that means, where are you from? The third question is Mi pečke aia variha. Mi pečke aia variha, which means, where do you live? The fourth question is Firitau variha. Firitau variha. Firitau variha, and that means, how old are you? And then the last question we learned today was Inu ti raha te anau. Inu ti raha te anau. And one thing I forgot to point out is that the O in Malagasy sounds like a U, makes a U sound. So it's an so inu. So it's not I know, it's E know, because we already learned that the I is an E sound, and now we know that the O makes more of a U sound. So ino tiraha te now, which means what do you like to do? And you'll get plenty of answers like that. Most people are going to say, you know, mihina sakafu, I like to eat food. For some reason, a lot of people will say, I like to wash, or I like to bathe. That's something you'll hear. They like to wash, okay? So you'll hear that sometimes, but you're not going to know you're hearing that because you don't know the word for that. So it's all good. Don't worry about it. Okay, so now we're going to go to the statements. So if someone asks you, ia tienara now, you say, for me, duglasi tienaraku. Okay, now salama, again, that just means hello, or it means I'm doing well. So anytime you see someone, you just say, salama, salama, salama. They respond to you, salama. Okay, the next question was baka ia variha, and the answer to that would be baka America rahu, or baka America zahu. The next question was mi pechike aia variha, and the answer to that is mi pechike ami America rahu. Mi pechike ami America rahu. The next question was firitau variha. Firitau variha. And the statement, the answer that goes with that is your age and tau rahu. So for me, it's if it's amiru pudu tau rahu. If it's amiru pudu tau rahu. Yeah, so like I said, whenever you get on the field, you can ask whatever missionary is here, you just ask them how to say your age in Malagasy, then you can say that. Okay, the next question was ino tiraha te anau. Ino tiraha te anau, what do you like to do? And the answer to that is teku. Teku manau spor. Teku mihisa gitara. Teku mihina sakafu. I gave you all those, some possible verbs that you can say when you're saying what you like to do. And then the last thing, there's no question to go with this unless someone asks you, you know, what you're doing here. But most likely when you're giving giving a presentation, you can just say what you're here to do. And so you would say, Rahu avietu hituri ti filanzansara. Filanzansara. That's a hard word to say, I know, but just practice. So Rahu avietu hituri ti filanzansara. Or you can say, Rahu avietu hituri ti vovomahafali. And that just means I'm here to preach the good news. I'm here to preach the gospel. And at the very end, all you have to say is misocha. Misocha nareo. Misocha, which means thank you all. And so now just we're going to go through and let you guys listen to some of our friends give their presentations in Malagasy. And that is going to end our lesson for today. So thank you guys for being patient. Thank you guys for listening to all that I had to say. I know it was a lot. And now I hope that you can go back and watch this video again, although it's kind of long, or you can just go back and really begin to practice these things with other people. So take the time to listen to those guys say those things, rewind, pause, whatever you have to do, and really let these things begin to sink into your mind. And so again, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time for the next lesson.
Salama.
Salama.
Io moa ny anaranao zafady?
Jason moa, iahinao.
Anarako dia Fabien. Ka firy taona moa zafady?
Zaho fito 10 tao, kay
Zao dia 4 taona.
ka baka iako nareo.
Zay dia baka Antananarivo ka nareo.
Baka any avao koa zahay.
Ka ino raha tianao hatao zany?
Ty raha tiako hatao zany dia mba lasa dokotera, kay
Ty raha tiako hatao zany dia lasa dokotera manahaka anao koa.
veloma koa.
Veloma.
Faly mahafatatsy.
Faly mahafatatsy. Ny anarako zany dia Fabien. 40 tao, mianatra amin'ny collège Sacré-Cœur. Dia zaho baka any Antananarivo. Ny raha tiako zany dia matory, mihina, mianatry, mivavaky. Veloma.
Salama anareo. Ianarako Haova. Mipetraka Toliara. Baka Tsifombe. Tiako miketriky mitezaja. Veloma nareo.
Akory nareo. Zaho anarako Masinjaka. Mipetraka Toliara, boka Fort Dauphin. teraka tamin'ny 8 zay nitirahako 420 tao. Ka ny asako mivarotsy akoho, tiako mivarotsy akoho. Zay. Veloma,
Move it,
mandrapiaonana.
move it. You like to move it, move it.